Hey, this is Dave with Brazos Barbell, and today we're going to be talking about a cue that I've been using a lot more with a lot of my lifters, and that cue is going to be anchoring. So this cue is going to go into how to pull slack better, really how to maintain a bottom position or a better starting position at the bottom of the deadlift for both sumo and conventional, but I do think that this cue is a lot more specific to sumo. I think the common cue used a lot of times is wedge for conventional. We're going to use that one a little bit here for sumo, but I think the wedge cue turns into anchoring the hips when we're talking about sumo deadlifting. So a lot of times I think this video will work well for both sumo and conventional, but this one is going to be a little bit more specific to sumo deadlifting in this case, with anchoring being the main thing. But a lot of the principles that we talk about will really be effective for teaching people how to pull slack better with their legs, whatever style of deadlift they use, sumo or conventional. So we'll jump right in. Okay, so to start off this video, one of the things that we, I guess, have to assume about the lifter is that you're already doing a good job with finding the right hip height. So when we're talking about these kind of things, the big deal is going to be not letting these cues pull you too low. So when I'm doing this right here, really my whole setup is about finding position with my hips and legs to pull the slack well. So when I'm doing this little drill that I do through all my warm-ups, it's about using the anchor position, or just finding a position with my hips that I can pull my shoulders back on top of and stabilize that position. So we'll talk about how to do that. So going through these warm-ups, what we're going to see right here is that I'm trying to stabilize basically right in here. This is going to be my anchor position, and so all the movement that I'm doing is happening around that little position. I know that's the position that I want to leave the floor at. So no matter how high I raise my hips when I'm doing this, it's always trying to get that position to stay the same and not shift anywhere from there. So everything after that is my shoulders actually going to be coming up and back, and then my legs pushing straight down into the floor. So those are my two cues, but really the main component here is that hip position is going to be stabilized really effectively. So through all my warm-ups, that's what I'm trying to feel. So going through my whole process, it's long arms, and then when I stop, we'll go back to even the beginning right here. Oh, wrong way. So, oops. Okay, so as I'm getting down to the bar, this position right where I'm feeling is through trial and error, I've kind of discovered where the highest position that I can stop and still bend over and find the bar effectively. So that's something that I think everybody should do, is just through their warm-ups, practice this little position that I'm playing with right here. Is that I've created a close hip position to the bar. I've opened up my legs into it, but I'm not trying to squat too low to get down to the bar. So this position is going to be a really good one. So and the reason being, from right here, when I reach down and grab the bar, if I'm very deliberate about keeping my hips where they are, it's going to take me a lot of effort in my legs, resisting the floor, pushing down into the floor to pull my shoulders back on top of my hips, and that's where the anchor comes in. So from this position, I'll take it a little bit further. We'll get down to the bar. Okay, so from here, we're going to find that anchor position right in here. This is my anchor. Then with my shoulders, I'm going to be pulling them up and back from here. And I've done another video on that where I'm talking about how to pull slack effectively. And really this is that, I guess, just a little bit more advanced, talking about the hips. So the hip position is always going to be the anchor, and everything's happening around it. My legs are pushing directly straight down. So with both of these happening together, legs pushing down, shoulders pulling up and back, that hip position really stays the same. And so we'll follow that rhythm through the rest of them. And actually, let me put those little arrows back up here on the screen right here, and we can follow those and see how well I stick to it, following the same angle. So the big part about this is that my legs are going to be doing almost all of the work. So the biggest mistake is that people, when they try to pull slack, are thinking about pulling with their arms. I'm pushing hard with my legs, and that's driving and pushing hard with my legs to pull my shoulders back on top of my hips and not letting anything else move. So that's where anchor is going to be the really good word, is that I'm trying to find a deliberate position to set my hips and not let anything change, while just finding one other cue, which in this case is going to be pulling my chest to the ceiling or whatever I'm trying to do to get that strong, stable starting position. So we'll leave all these arrows right here because I took the same angle through all of it, and we can see how this process takes place through all of my warm-ups. Okay, so today I worked up to a single at a 705 before my working sets at 300 kilos or 660. So I think all of these ended up actually looking pretty good. So we can see at that bottom position I have a nice anchor. I don't let that move. Legs are pushing down. Chest is pulling up and back to get into a nice strong position. So 2 more warm-ups. Hips stay high, hips stay close. All right, last one. So this is my 705, and really I knew I was making a video, so some of it was me not trying to be super aggressive and really just trying to make these things look good. You can see there's a good angle of the up and back with my chest. Everything else is just driving straight down. Okay, so we'll go into some of the working sets here now. There's going to be 3 sets with 300 kilos, and all of these ended up looking really good. So after my first rep, I've found a pretty good. I know that I'm pulling slack well. I've felt the tension already, so I don't do the same process every time with my setup. But the big deal every time is going to be this position here. So this is another part of it, is that if I know the bottom position, what I need to be doing is this position is pushing hard with my legs down into the ground, and I'm actually letting my arms relax. But the rest of it is that I'm fighting hard to keep this nice neutral back. So I think sometimes when people do this position, they'll push with their legs, but they don't really put much emphasis into this top portion with their back. So this is going to be where I'm creating my tension. I know the bottom position. I know as far down as I want to pull, but this position right here is really where I'm stabilizing the top portion and creating that tension in my legs. So as I pull back down, I have that nice neutral spine, and I'm resisting the weight of the bar with my chest. I'm trying to pull my chest through my relaxed arms to get everything nice and tight. So we'll see that process take place through the rest of my sets at a different angle. So we'll have, I guess, 2 from the front right here, and then 2 from behind, which actually turned out to be a pretty good angle. I wish I would have filmed more from that back position. So the biggest thing that we'll see here really is going to be how high my hips are. From the side, I think sometimes they look lower, and sometimes we see how upright I look. From the front, it looks a little bit different, and I like seeing this position here. If we wouldn't have seen any of the side angle, this may look a whole lot different. Like from the front, this looks like my hips are much further back than they are. It doesn't look like I'm super upright, but the reason being is that that I do a really good job of having this position from hand to hand across my shoulders loose while trying to pull my chest through hard. So that allows me to pull everything back on top of my hips well and maintain that good position off the floor while I drive up. So it's interesting seeing all the different angles and seeing what I'm looking at. The next angle, when we take the videos from behind, I think there's a couple more videos from the front, but when we get to the behind videos, we'll see how much emphasis I'm actually putting on pulling behind the bar. From the front, it almost looks like I'm in front of it, but the big deal is that the hips are staying high, and off the floor, I'm being very patient to maintain that position there. So my rhythm, I guess, it may not be perfect in that I do actually deliberately pull myself a little bit low, but I'm aware of that, and I have that little bit of slack to give, and this is actually the position that I want to pull from. I'd say this is my anchor position. So when I pull, it always locks in right there, and it never goes anywhere past that. And that is something that I actually do deliberately. It's not me getting lazy on these deadlifts, but I think that helps me get a little bit more speed off the floor as long as I've done a good job of stabilizing up top. So I think we're getting now into the lighter ones. So these will look a little bit cleaner. I can get a little bit taller. The next videos will actually be from behind. But all of it is legs pulling that slack out of the bar to make these sets and reps pretty effortless in this case. It's good to actually have my deadlifts feeling effective again and not just have the last few weeks have been a pretty big struggle since nationals. I don't know, fatigue or whatever, but things are starting to get back to normal. So this position is a good one that we can see when I leave the floor right here. Really how much effort is put on me pulling at least on top of the bar, and I'm really not hanging out in front of it. I think from the front where we see a lot of the what looks like I may be softer in front of the bar is really just the slack across my shoulders. But because I've done a good job earlier when I was pushing my legs hard into the ground, I can create this nice here's my anchor position, and then everything past that is going to be hinging around that position right there. So all the pull is happening with my hips staying really close, shoulders coming up and back with that position never changing until the bar gets off the floor. And I'll put a few more. I'll draw a little bit on this last set here, so we'll go through it. So this position when I pull up, that's a big position. Remember we talked about before is that this position, most of the emphasis is actually me pushing my legs down. I'm not just raising my hips up. I'm pushing hard into the ground to pull the slack out of my arms right here. So my arms are relaxed, and there's a lot of emphasis with my back pushing to the ceiling, but my chest resisting that. I've used the cue before of pull your chest between your arms. So that all of that is going to be a little bit more in the video of how to pull slack. I think this one and that one kind of go together. Maybe I missed a few things on that last video. So from here, we'll pull down into this anchored position. So here's my anchor, and we'll see all of these reps right here. This position I never let change at all. The emphasis is going to be that my legs are pushing down to the ground, and then my chest is pulling, we'll say, up and back right here. And I can finish through. But that anchor position is the big deal, not letting it slip anywhere and being able to just deliver force effectively. So thanks a lot for watching. Let me know if you have any other questions. Really, this video was from a lot of people submitting questions to me, so keep those coming and I'll do my best. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot.